Welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following week. My name is Colton Brown, and joining me is Andrew Meadows.
Colton Brown, what's going on, man?
I really like this whole thing you've got going where you shout my name every time we start the podcast.
It's almost like Bruce, what's that guy's name? Colton, in the red corner, Colton Brown.
Sure, we'll go with that. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah,
Either way, I mean, it's getting me hyped up. That's what I'm trying to say. So maybe we're after the same thing here.
It's like the boxing thing, you know?
They get the hype man act going. It's working out well. So I am doing good. To answer your question, I have deposited at a law school, so things are looking pretty good for the future.
Very nice. Doing things with your life. It's a good thing.
Trying to, anyway. How are you, sir? I think you went on a vacation, didn't you?
I did go on a vacation, yes. I went to Tennessee, and I went to I frequented a distillery, a moonshine distillery.
And did you partake in this moonshine at this distillery?
I went twice.
Okay.
I think me and my family my family and I have a alcohol problem, I think. We went there twice and we spent a bunch of money on alcohol. Yeah, and I'm actually sipping on some, I think it's called salty caramel whiskey from the Old Smoky Distillery. It's pretty good.
You brought a souvenir home, sounds like?
I brought a couple souvenirs. I also came down with, I think it's blueberry moonshine, apple pie moonshine, some sort of like Java milk-based moonshine. Tastes like coffee. It's pretty good.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I've got my liquor cabinet or liquor counter, as it's turning out. It's just kind of taken over my counter now. It's diversified, to say the least. So yeah, I'm doing all right.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. It's a little bit more of a low-key episode this week. Just us. We don't have four guests again. It was a little hectic, but it was enjoyable, I will say. It was a good fun for our Avengers episode, having a pretty large panel to talk about a pretty large movie as it was. So we do have a couple things before we get into, news and all the usual entanglements that come with this podcast here. First of which is we're going to go ahead and announce what we're doing for our bonus episode for the month of May, and that is the Indiana Jones franchise. So that's pretty cool.
Don't even get me fucking started on Indiana Jones. That is my shit. I love it. I'm super hyped.
I think that should make our listeners more excited to go in on that episode, especially because it's going to be at least a timed exclusive for our supporters on Patreon. So I think we'll probably try to get it up within a couple weeks or so, and we'll have a little bit more details on that as we kind of figure that out. But it'll be up on the Patreon page, so you can find that at watchreviewrepeat.com, and just go to our premium tab. You'll find all the information there, or you can go directly to our Patreon page, which is patreon.com/watchreviewrepeat. So look forward to that, and again, look forward to some more details as we kind of get those going. The other thing I wanted to mention is that we currently actively have a poster giveaway going on both of our social media platforms of Facebook and Twitter. So we have two 13 by 19 inch Avengers Infinity War IMAX posters that we're giving away totally free. It's only open to U.S. residents just because shipping is a bitch sometimes. So I apologize if that negatively impacts you, but I hope you understand. And that is going on until Saturday. Let me make sure I have the right day. Saturday the 12th. We're ending that giveaway at midnight. So basically, when it hits Sunday, all the entries are stopped, and we're just going to pick a random winner from each of our contests that we have set up. So just go to our Facebook page, just search for us, Watch Review Repeat, or Twitter, we're at WRR Pod, and you can enter both. There's no restrictions on that. You can double your chances of winning one. I mean, why not? It's a badass poster. We got a picture of it up there, and
it's free.
It's free. I mean, that's the big thing right there. Yeah, it's totally free. So
if it's free, it's for me. You know what I'm saying?
Is that a new catchphrase you just made up?
I say it all the time. Is that a new thing? I don't think. I feel like that's an original.
Apparently, I just dropped some new lingo on you earlier tonight that you weren't ready for. So maybe you're returning the favor.
That's it. Do not who this.
I said, "New phone, who dis?"
New phone, who dis?
Yeah. And he was like, I had to say it like 8 times, and he was just, I don't think he still quite wrapped his head around what the fuck was happening. So,
that shit was gold. It's so hilarious.
Anyway, that's that. This week, we're covering Tully. A little bit more of a low-key movie, which matches this low-key episode. I think what happened is, Avengers comes out, and the thing is going to, just absolutely destroy everything in its path. At least for a few weeks' time. So I think a lot of movie studios are like, okay, maybe this is a good time for, like a lower budget movie or some counter programming or something like that. Because if we try to put like a tentpole movie out like a week after Avengers comes out, like we're going to get absolutely fucked up. So I think that what you'll see for the next couple of weeks and by default the next couple episodes is we're going to be kind of looking through other avenues. So we're doing Tully this week. I think we'll have a little bit to talk about, but, we didn't get a chance to talk about what we were up to, so I think we'll have kind of other things to kind of cover this episode, so I think it'll be good overall. And on that note, do you have a fun fact you'd like to share with our listeners?
Fun fact of the week. Yes, in regards to Tully, it's a Tully fun fact. Charlize Theron gained 50 pounds in 3.5 months for this role. She slammed down the food, in order to keep the weight on, and it took her 1.5 years for the weight to come off.
Well, it's a lot of weight, to be fair.
Yeah, but 50 pounds in 3.5 months, and then 1.5 years for it to come off. So the moral of that story is, don't gain the weight, because it gains a whole lot faster than it comes off.
Yeah, that's true. She went on the Christian Bale method acting training. It sounds like.
Exactly. And then I was going to reference that. It's such dedication to a role when you can put your body toward in that kind of state. You know what I mean? He went from Christian Bale went from The Machinist to Batman Begins.
Yeah. He put on a ridiculous amount of weight between those two.
It's absurd. He went from like a skeleton-looking dude to beefy Batman, and
yeah, I mean, I was gonna say he was fucking jacked in Batman Begins. Like, and he was a little slimmer, for Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, but Batman Begins he was fucking thick. So it's pretty crazy what these actors, actresses are kind of willing to put themselves through, but. They do get paid the big bucks, I suppose. So, I guess it's and
it's like when you can wrap yourself up in a role, or you're trying to become, whatever your role dictates. It's an interesting thing to try to wrap your head around. But yeah, anyways, I digress. Fun fact of the week.
Well, I appreciate that. We got a little bit more news this week than we did last time. So I don't know if there's anything overly exciting this week. There's some good stuff, actually. I take that back. We're going to start with some news about a new movie called 355. So this is going to be a spy movie that's going to be directed by Simon Kinberg, who will be directing the forthcoming Dark Phoenix. Notice I didn't say X-Men Dark Phoenix. Apparently they've dropped the X-Men part of it and are just calling it Dark Phoenix.
Yeah,
not sure why. Even though it's still technically an X-Men movie, I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, that's not the point of this story. I just figured that was a fun side note to mention. I am interested in this movie because it's got a pretty damn good cast. It's got Jessica Chastain, Marion Cotillard, Penelope Cruz, Fan Bingbing, and Lupita Nyong'o, all set to star in it. So as you can tell by the fact that I've just named 5 women, is that this is a female-driven spy movie that is going to be happening. Let me see if there's a little bit more description on it. It's a globe-trotting adventure. They all play spies from international agencies who come together and overcome suspicions and conflicts as they battle to stop a global organization from thrusting the world into chaos. And so that sounds like pretty standard fare, to be fair. But that cast, though, I don't know. There might be something here. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see what happens. I mean, he's produced a lot of things.
Good and bad.
good and bad, but I think this is going to be, this won't be his directorial debut, will it?
No. Dark Phoenix, he's directing.
Right. So we'll see how it turns out, I guess. You know what I mean?
Maybe we can look to that to see if he's got some chops for something like this, perhaps.
Right. Because, I mean, he wrote, X-Men Days of Future Past, and he did write Apocalypse, which isn't, it's not looking...
Like I said, good and bad.
But he did produce Logan. And Logan was incredible. So, I don't know. We'll see how it goes, man. I think he's got good and bad, like you say, so it can go either which way. Yeah.
There's two categories it could slot into, certainly. I'm curious to see what you think about this next one. Maybe it'll slot into the good or bad category. Teen Titans Go to the Movies. We've talked about this before when we talked about the fantastic news of Nicolas Cage voicing Superman. And we got to see a little bit of that in this new trailer that we got for this movie. So how did you like this trailer here? I
did like it. I can't say I'm a fan of the animation. I am not a fan of this animation at all.
Yeah, it's pretty low budget looking.
But I felt like it was written pretty good. The trailer, I'm pretty excited about the trailer, actually. I think I don't know. I think it'll be pretty nice. I think it'll be funny. It made me chuckle a couple of times. I know that.
Yeah, me too. I think this looks like fun. From what I understand, the show is polarizing. I think because it replaced a Teen Titans show that was very serious in nature, and then they basically, like, the TV show that this is based off of is a very similar tone, very tongue-in-cheek, and I think that kind of pissed probably the older fans off, and then, I think it's certainly a show that's geared, I would say, principally towards kids, but I felt like there was enough here in this trailer to me that it didn't seem like it was going exclusively for a child audience. It seemed like there's some good gags in here.
It's called fucking Teen Titans.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. What do you expect from Teen Titans? Teen Titans has always been that way. I mean, I don't know.
I agree with you. I think this looks like fun. I'm simply stating some references for this. That's all I'm saying. So I like this. Will Arnett playing fucking Deathstroke is incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I'm greatly looking forward to that. I think the whole thing looks funny. It is kind of odd to me because the whole point of this movie is like, oh man, we're not getting a movie. Like, how come everyone else is getting a movie? Except Cyborg is part of the Teen Titans in this, and Cyborg has been in a movie now. So I wonder if they will address that kind of elephant in the room, or if they're trying to sweep that under the rug.
They did address the Green Lantern.
Well, so I'm saying they made fun of Green Lantern. So I'm wondering if they might take a similar approach of, hey, no, you were in a movie, Cyborg. Nah, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
We don't talk about that either.
Pretty good. I actually wanted to mention something on the YouTube thing. I have a habit. I don't know why.
Oh, I know what you're gonna say.
Okay, all right. We'll find out. I scroll down to the comments on YouTube. I have a bad habit of it. Like, there's just a morbid curiosity within me every time I look at something on YouTube, and I'm like, usually it ends up with some variation of, I don't know what I expected. But this one paid off. Ryan Reynolds left a nice little comment here stating, quote unquote, Deathstroke / Wade Wilson is nothing like Deadpool / Wade Wilson. Not sure where the confusion comes from. Ryan Gosling.
That fucking dude.
Penned by Warner Brothers Pictures at that. It's pretty good. I thought that was that what you were talking about?
Yeah, it's exactly what I was talking about. Yeah,
it's pretty good, right? Yeah,
made me laugh. That dude's got chops. I like him. He's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
good stuff.
Yeah.
Anyways, we have another trailer to talk about. I think it might be funny stuff, perhaps for some different reasons.
I'm intrigued to hear your opinion about this trailer.
All right, so the trailer in question is Robin Hood, landing in theaters November 21st, 2018. It's got Taron Egerton, Jamie Foxx, Ben Mendelsohn.
Ooh,
we like ourselves some Mendo.
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
That's got that going for it. I'm not sure how much else it has going for it. This looks really bad. I'm watching this and I'm like, I cannot believe what is happening here. Like, this looks horrible. This looks like a complete total creative misfire.
Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
I'm baffled by, like, what is the time period here? What's going on here? What's the actual kind of purpose of this? I'm like...
I started the trailer, and I was in the middle of looking at my phone. And I was like, I know I'm starting Robin Hood. And I look up and I say, oh, okay, maybe they're doing like a, maybe not like a steampunk, but maybe like a dystopian kind of deal. But then they're like riding horses and shit, and they're in a castle, and then they're like, no, that's not what it is. You know, I have no idea what the fuck this movie is.
I have no idea. You know, in some ways, I got a little King Arthur Legend of the Sword kind of vibe, but I had a good time with that. And I think that one at least had Guy Ritchie, you know, behind the camera. I don't know who's directing this one off the top of my head, but I don't even get the sense that there might be, like, it doesn't look stylish to me. Like, at least King Arthur was kind of, you know, had that Guy Ritchie flair
consistent
behind
at least.
it. This one to me just looks completely all over the place. Yes, that's kind of where I'm just like, what the fuck is this movie? What is it? I'm kind of intrigued, honestly, to find out what it is. You know, if Moviepass hasn't gone under by the time this rolls around, it might be a good option for that. But otherwise, I can't imagine myself spending any sort of actual money on this. But
which
I don't know.
I think it might be a good time to talk about Moviepass. We haven't talked about Moviepass, but and this isn't in our. This is kind of like a
going off script.
Going off script here. Yeah, we're doing it live. Moviepass is in some trouble, dude. I mean, they're changing their shit all over the place. They've changed it like 3 times.
Well, they've restricted it now that if you're grandfathered into the original plan, they've modified it so that you can only see a movie once per, you know, your account. So, like, I actually looked when I saw Tully, and I saw like A Quiet Place was playing, and then it was like, you've already seen this movie. Like, it actually states that within the app. So that's kind of one of the things that's happened. I know you know they have changed kind of their, you know, there was like a cheaper one that they could do, and then you get like 3 months of iHeartRadio or some shit like that. But that was the only thing they offered, and now they offer that and the original plan, but it still has the restrictions attached. I think there's actually the thing where some users have been asked to send pictures of their ticket stubs.
Yes,
to
I've
get
heard
it
about
verified.
That as well. Yep.
Which hasn't affected me. I assume it hasn't affected you. Otherwise,
No.
I probably would have heard some bitching about it prior to now. But yeah. Well, I saw something today. I don't know if this is maybe what you're thinking of, or something that just kind of sparked that they have like enough cash for basically to operate for another month.
Jesus.
I don't know if you saw anything like that.
No, I
which
didn't
isn't
see that.
surprising. But basically, the implication is that they've just been bleeding money since they dropped their price, which is not surprising at all, because
No.
there's no fucking way it was ever sustainable. So the reason I made that joke of, you know, well, you know, assuming Moviepass is still around in November, there's a very good chance it won't be. In fact, I would say it's probably closer to 100% chance than it is to, you know, to 0% chance if I had to, you know, go out on a limb.
Which is so disappointing, because I mean, I would be willing to pay a good amount of money for a subscription theater ticket.
I think what you're going to see, and I know at least Cinemark has gotten in on the fun, is that a lot of theaters will offer their own subscription platform. And I don't think it'll be quite as extensive as what Moviepass offers. I think what it'll be is, I think the Cinemark one is you get 1 ticket per month, but then you get like concession discounts and like other bonus offers and stuff like that. So it's like $10. So basically you're just paying for a ticket, and then you get like a couple extra bonuses. Like, it's really not the same model as Moviepass, but I think that's what you'll see a shift towards, okay, there's clearly a market for something like this. Let's go for something that keeps our profits high and is sustainable. And
Right.
Unfortunately, to do something that, you know, really emulates what a Moviepass has been trying to do, I just don't see a way for them to kind of do that and maintain any sort of profit margin from it. I could be wrong. I would like to be wrong, and I would love for Moviepass to just, you know, get a massive influx of money to keep them afloat for as long as possible. But, you know,
Bump the subscription plan up to $25 a month.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Bump it up to something. What do you need to make, you know?
Well, I mean, Moviepass existed before they dropped it to $10 a month, but it was like $40 to $50 a month. So it was pretty much for only the hardcore. You know, that was like for people that are literally going to see a movie. Almost even for us, I'm not sure that would save us any money. Even if we saw a movie a week, we're not really saving any money. In certain markets, it would be, you know, New York and stuff like that. LA, you're looking at probably $15 a pop for ticket. For where we live, nah, it's not really the case, you know?
It's true.
So
Saw a movie tonight. It cost me $9. So
especially when it excludes IMAX and stuff like that, I can see an IMAX movie
that's
for
where
$7.
the savings comes in. Yeah. You know, if you did $40 a month, $50 a month or whatever it is, and then it includes anything you want to see, then it's a different story altogether, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens, man.
Yeah, well, if anything does kind of, definitively happen with it, we'll certainly insert it into our news segment. Because that'll definitely be relevant to not only our interests, but I think probably some listeners that have gotten in on the fun as well. So enjoy it while you can.
Additional fun fact.
Okay.
Robin Hood is being produced by Leonardo DiCaprio, and it's directed by Otto Bathurst. Who has directed... he directed the national anthem for a Black Mirror episode.
Okay, that's the first episode, right? First season 1, episode 1?
Yep. And he won a BAFTA award for his work on BBC Peaky Blinders.
Well, I've heard good things about that. So it sounds like he's not a complete hack, but I'm still not sold.
Who's responsible for Robin Hood?
Maybe DiCaprio is to blame here.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
I feel like that dude's talent. I feel like that dude does good shit, though. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
We'll keep an open mind. Maybe.
Hard segue.
Yes. Next piece of news: Sylvester Stallone is coming back as John motherfucking Rambo.
Oh, John Rambo!
And this time he's going to take on the Mexican Cartel. How was that? Was it pretty good?
It was pretty good.
And Rambo 5, for the record. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm pretty fucking excited now. Let's see what happens.
Do you think Rambo's going to win?
Yes, he always wins. I mean,
you don't get to 5 movies without winning every time, right?
Absolutely. I mean, how old is Stallone?
That's a good question.
How old is this fella? Let's see.
At a minimum, he's in his 50s, but I would say probably early 60s if I had to take a stab at it.
Let's see here. We need to. Well, my smart.
He is holy fuck! This dude's 71 years old.
Yeah, what the fuck's he gonna do against the Mexican cartel? 71 years old.
It's fucking John Rambo, man.
Have you ever been to SylvesterStallone.com?
I have not.
Go to SylvesterStallone.com and look at that man's face. He is a 71-year-old man.
It looks pretty good for 71, doesn't it?
Yeah, he does. It's ridiculous. Nobody looks that good at 71 years old.
Yeah, he's probably got a little help, keep himself looking nice and good. But yeah, we got to get this going. We're getting bogged down here.
Are we lingering?
A little bit, but we're having fun with it. So and that's important. But we're having fun with it. So let's just pony up and get through the rest of this movie news. Yeah, Sherlock Holmes 3 has been dated, and it's going to be coming out December 25th, 2020, which some of our listeners might recognize that December 25th is a holiday known as Christmas.
Some of them.
Some of them might not have picked up on that, It's a fun fact, is that December 25th is Christmas. Every year, in fact. So this marks the return for the Sherlock Holmes franchise, starring Robert Downey Jr. as Sherlock Holmes and Jude Law as John Watson. It's been 9 years. It will have been 9 years.
That long?
It hasn't been. It's been 7 years, right? Or only about 6.5 years. So it'll be 9 years by the time this comes out. Between the second and the third entry. Second one was Game of Shadows. Came out December 2011. Kind of surprised that it's taken so long for this. I mean, I guess I get RDJ is a pretty hot commodity between all the Marvel movies that he's making and stuff, but still.
Is this one also directed by Guy Ritchie?
So, possibly, but not right now. No director has been attached to this, and I think the press release that WB sent out basically had no mention of Guy Ritchie's involvement in this, which to me suggests that he's probably not doing it, but it is at least a little bit away, so it's not, I guess, impossible for him to come back.
Right.
I feel like I would like him to come back, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like his style has been kind of, the signature of this, franchise that they've done. So I feel like it would be kind of lacking if they didn't have him come back for it, but maybe he's got bigger and better things to do.
That's it. So we'll see.
We will see. I'm looking forward to it, though. I like both those movies. So we'll keep you guys posted on what happens with that. Last bit of movie news. Pretty good one, too, I would say. Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter are coming back for another threequel. And this one is Bill and Ted Face the Music.
What the fuck are they going to do? What is this?
It's the third Bill and Ted movie, man. What else do you want, man? Why you got to question it? It's been 27 years since we've seen Ted Theodore Logan and Bill S. Preston Esquire together. But now they're going to be back, and they're going to face the music. It's going to be directed by Dean Parasote, who did Galaxy Quest, which is a fucking phenomenal movie, as a side note.
Galaxy Quest. I haven't heard that.
Yeah, that's a good movie, man. It's by Grabthar's Hammer. I swear that it is a good movie.
What a pull!
Yeah, no, I mean, it's happened. I think this has been rumored for a while. I think they've been talking about doing this for a while. I know Alex Winter has been up to making some documentary features, and of course Keanu Reeves has had a bit of a career resurgence between John Wick and a few other things he's done over the past few years. So it's good to. I'm happy to see this.
Absolutely.
I think this will be pretty good fun. I mean, I feel like Bill and Ted's probably kind of predates us a little bit in terms of kind of when it was really popular. I'm not even sure that we were alive. 27 years. Let me do the math. We were not. So. I think.
Goddamn, you're good at math, bro.
I actually looked at the corner of my monitor and was like, hold on, let me look. Nope. Yes, I just did the math. It does not check out. It does not, sir. It does not. But
we were close to being alive, though.
We were close. You probably wouldn't have been able to see it, if I had to take a stab at it. But I think like we always enjoyed they always did the Bill and Ted one-off shows at the Halloween Horror Nights. So we've seen plenty of those. So we haven't quite seen Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter doing their thing, but we've seen some actors they hire off the street from Universal Studios to do their thing. They were kind of fun, I guess, but they're not the real thing. This is the real thing. I'm excited to see the real thing now.
Yeah, me too, man.
Yeah. All right, TV news. We've got a little bit here. Handmaid's Tale, to start things off, has been renewed for a third season over at Hulu. The second season is currently ongoing. I still haven't watched anything from the first season. I failed in my quest to do anything on that. I know you're surprised. I apologize. Have you started anything from the second season on your end?
No.
So you can't give me too much shit.
I can't give you too much shit.
It's all right. You can give me more shit for things I haven't watched later. We'll get to it later of things that I haven't quite gotten to. But third season's happening. That's good news, I think. This is a pretty well-regarded show. I think the second season, from what I understand, has been well-received as well. I'm hearing good things about that. So it's certainly still on my list of things to catch up on. I think... Hulu, I think, does this on a weekly basis, so I don't think the second season will be over for at least another month or two. So that gives you, a little bit of time. If you're waiting to just binge this, then maybe that's a good excuse to just hold out for a month or two. So
right,
there is that. So yeah, it's good news, I think. And we've got some DC-related news in the TV section as well. We finally got some more information about that big streaming service that DC has been preparing to launch sometime this year, as far as I understand. It has been officially named as, this is very, very shocking, very striking name, DC Universe. Bet you didn't see that one coming.
Good. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I'm on their website right now, and here's some exciting things to get you excited about it. The Ultimate DC membership is coming. DC Universe is a first-of-its-kind, immersive digital experience designed just for DC fans. One of the many incredible things your membership will include is unlimited access to the following exclusive original series. And what exclusive original series might those be? Of course, there's going to be Titans, which we've talked about. Now, not to be confused with Teen Titans. These are the Titans. These are the adult versions of the Teen Titans.
They're the real ones.
Yeah, they're the grown-ups now, which we've talked about previously on this show. I think we talked about Robin, Hawk and Dove, a couple other things. I don't know. It's been in development for a while. It's coming out later this year. We've also got the continuation of the Young Justice animated series. The third season is going to be called Young Justice Outsiders. I've heard great things about the first two seasons of that. So I'm curious about that. Harley Quinn animated series we've also talked about on this show. We'll see how it turns out. People like Harley Quinn. I am less fond of the character myself, but we got a little bit of new news here, in that we've got a logo treatment for a new series we had no idea was in development, and that's something called Swamp Thing.
Oh, fuck. I like Swamp Thing. I think he's cool.
Yeah, so this is going to be a live-action series, and it is going straight to series over at the DC Universe streaming platform that they're launching. Based on the DC Comics character, the 1 hour drama series is going to follow CDC researcher Abby Arcane, who returns to her childhood home of Houma, Louisiana, in order to investigate a deadly swamp-borne virus. She develops a surprising bond with scientist Alec Holland, only to have him tragically taken from her. But as powerful forces descend on Houma, intent on exploiting the swamp's mysterious properties for their own purposes, Abby will discover that the swamp holds mystical secrets, and the potential love of her life may not be dead after all. Spoilers.
Oh, that sounds good.
Spoilers. He's Swamp Thing.
That's what it sounds like.
It's slated for a 2019 launch. Mark Verheiden, Gary Dauberman, writers and exec producers on it, and James Wan is also involved with this project, the director of the upcoming Aquaman movie, the Aquabro movie, if you will. So I think this sounds pretty fucking cool. I'm excited to see a Swamp Thing series. I think that sounds pretty dope, personally.
I am pretty excited about that myself. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm curious to, I feel like once we get Titans probably later this year, that might give us kind of an indication of kind of the types of shows that they're going for. Because I feel like it could, is it going to be a CW type quality show, or is it going to be maybe like a Marvel Netflix type show? Where is it going to kind of fall in there? Or is it going to be like fucking prestige television? Is it going to be a fucking Westworld? It's not, but it could be. It's an option on the table, technically speaking, because we haven't seen it yet. But I would hope that it falls more towards the Marvel Netflix side of things. Where it's, like they put some good money into, well, actually they don't put that much money into those things, but they put a little bit more money than they put into the CW shows, get some talented actors, some talented, creators that are interested in telling interesting characters, or interesting stories for these characters. And, we'll see how it turns out. So I don't know. We'll see, right?
That's it. It's all we can do is see.
And we will eventually. I have some exciting news that I am personally very excited about. What We Do in the Shadows is getting a television series adaptation, and it's going to be headed up by Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi. And it is a go for a 10-episode order over at FX.
That sounds pretty exciting.
Yeah, I agree. This movie that this is based on, also called What We Do in the Shadows, is fucking incredible. If you haven't seen it, please go out of your way to do so, especially if you enjoyed Thor Ragnarok. It's got the signature Taika Waititi humor in it. And, it's got Taika Waititi himself playing one of the three vampires. It's got Jermaine Clement. If anyone watches Legion, that's a reference. Of course, if you watch Flight of the Conchords in the past, that's probably a bigger reference to kind of pull from. But yeah, man, I'm excited about this. I'm not sure if it's going to be connected to the movie or if it's kind of just like a separate thing that they're doing. I guess we'll kind of have to wait and see on that.
Right.
But either way, I'm definitely very excited for it. And it's nice to see that it's not like, I kind of feel like a lot of shit like that happens like this, like an American, creator sees like, oh, this great fucking New Zealand movie with all these great New Zealand creators. Let me do my own thing and let me just make a super Americanized version of that. And I'm like, I feel like you lose a lot with that. Like this one, at least, you've got Jermaine Clement heading this shit up. Like, it's gonna be
gonna be gold.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm greatly looking forward to it. I guess we can end our TV segments with a couple of trailers, both for some upcoming Netflix shows. First of which is Arrested Development. Season 5 is coming out later this month, May 29th. Correct me if I'm wrong. You have not watched Arrested Development.
No, that you are incorrect. I've seen Arrested Development.
You have. Have you watched all of it?
No.
Okay, maybe that's why I'm thinking that.
I think I've seen roughly half of it. I haven't seen it in its completion. I haven't seen the newest season. I've seen enough to know that I enjoyed it. I think it's funny.
Yeah, no, Arrested Development is incredible. It's probably one of my favorite TV comedies, if not my favorite TV comedy of all time. I mean, just the payoff for watching it from beginning to end is just incredible. The kind of jokes that they build, and this season I'm hoping kind of follows in the same footsteps. It's got all the pieces are in place. So they did season 4 a few years back. I think 2013 they did season 4, which was a little bit different because basically when Arrested Development came out on Fox originally, a lot of the people in it weren't super famous. They were the way they are now. Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, Michael Cera. Just a lot of these guys were, just kind of blew up, after Arrested Development got canceled. And then when season 4 came around, Netflix got the rights to it and said, we're reviving the show. And they basically had to film it in a manner where half the cast couldn't be in the same room at the same time because they're too busy doing other shit. Like they're literally just too busy doing other shit. So they kind of filmed season 4 in this way where each episode was character-centric. They kind of just followed one character at a time, and then it built to like this kind of one series of events where all the family was back together for like a single episode effectively. And I think people were a little bit more down on it because it was a big departure from the usual style of Arrested Development. And I know I didn't love it as much, but I thought that, once you kind of slogged through a bit of it, because, most people have favorite characters, and if you're watching an episode that's about a character, like, I don't really like that character too much. It's not as fun to watch that. It's like fuck me, and it kind of lost, I think, a lot of the tightness that came with Arrested Development, where it's a tight 22-23 minute kind of episode. A lot of them would expand out to like 40 plus minutes, and it was just like, this just feels kind of not what I'm accustomed to.
Right.
There was a lot of that happened with season 4. I enjoyed it overall, but I thought it was a bit of a step down. So apparently they actually recut the entirety of season 4, and it's out on Netflix now. So season 4 was, I think, originally, I want to say 13 episodes. They recut it to 22 episodes, dropped them all to 22-minute episodes to, match kind of the previous 3 seasons, and that's out on Netflix now. So I haven't watched any of that. I actually do want to watch that whole season 4 remix that they did before season 5 drops, because I think that's going to be a good way to kind of get back up to speed and get into the swing of things with the Arrested Development. I think season 5 is going to follow on pretty closely from the end of season 4. So all those words mean that I'm very excited for Arrested Development. And I would recommend our listeners certainly get on, really get caught up on Arrested Development. All 4 seasons are up on Netflix. Season 4 was the only one that was a Netflix original, technically, but all the seasons are up there. It's well worth your time. And Andrew, I would say, for as much as you give me shit about not watching things, merited. It is all merited. Don't get me wrong. I will push this back on you and say, hey,
watch this shit.
Yeah, that's my one request for your 18 requests per May. So I realize that's a little unfair to do, but I'm doing it anyway. So,
I can do it.
All right. I'll hold you to it, just like you tried to hold it to me, and I've failed you pretty much every time that I've said I'm going to do something.
Every single time you fucking fail me. It's okay. I forgive you.
I'm working on things. We'll talk about it later. There are some things I'm caught up on, so you might be surprised. Marvel's Luke Cage has a trailer for its second season, a full-length trailer. I think probably the first real extended look we've had at this upcoming season on June 22nd when it's coming back for another 13 episodes. And
who was that dude kicking his ass?
That's a good question. I don't know. I guess I probably could have done a little bit of research, but I've been I don't know, been kind of hands off with this movie or TV show rather.
The Wishmaster, is that what they kept calling him?
Bushmaster, that's what it is. Okay, I've seen some things. Yeah. I don't really know too much about him in terms of like comics lore, so I'm kind of approaching this series with, as much knowledge as probably anyone else walking in. So I will say, for my money, I thought this trailer looked pretty good. It looks very Luke Cage, and so I guess probably depending on your perspective of Luke Cage Season 1, that might color your expectations walking into this. Certainly, I think we all hope that it's in line with the first half of Luke Cage Season 1, and I don't know if I can definitively say one way or another if that's going to be the case from this footage that we got, but yeah, that looks good.
It does look good. I'm excited about it. What's-her-face gets her arm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Misty Knight. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's exciting.
Notably absent, Danny Rand, the immortal Iron Fist, protector of Kunlun, sworn enemy of the hand. Anything else? Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons. Wait, hold on, that's another show.
It's all I've got.
All right, well, that's all I've got, too. That's all I've got for news. Well, I guess that's not technically true. I did want to take a brief moment to talk about something that I talked about last week in my box office breakdown.
The box office breakdown.
Yeah, we got theme songs to everything now. Yeah, this is good. I like it. Brief notes on Avengers Infinity War. I just wanted to check in on it since we talked about it last week. And it's, it smashed records over its opening weekend, and it's continuing to do a few things as well. So its second weekend, it made $114.8 million.
Ooh.
It's a lot of money. In fact, that is roughly $20 million more than what Justice League made in its first weekend. Look, I'm not making fun. I'm not kicking anyone while they're down, but yes, I am. Fuck you, Justice League. You sucked, and you deserve all this. Anyway, it is not the biggest second weekend of all time. That still belongs to Star Wars: The Force Awakens, which kind of cheated because it opened. Basically, it had its second weekend over Christmas weekend, so Christmas fell on a Friday, and that definitely, Christmas is one of the biggest movie going holidays of the year, so that definitely really inflated its numbers a bit. So I think The Force Awakens is going to hold on to that second weekend record for a good amount of time. Something will break it eventually, I'm sure, but I think it's all about timing, and this one is still dealing with kids in school and all that good stuff. So set a new opening weekend record in Russia. That was the only new territory it opened in over this second weekend, so 1 for 1 in that regard. It has crossed $1 billion worldwide, and it has done so in record time. It took all of 11 days to accomplish that, which beats the previous record holder of Star Wars: The Force Awakens at 12 days. So that's pretty ridiculous. And of course, China is still looming. It has not opened over there yet. It is going to be opening there this upcoming weekend.
Oh my goodness.
Starting the 11th, and it is potentially poised to break opening weekend records there too. Some speculation, things get a little out of control when you're talking about box office speculation. You never really know exactly where things are going to land, but some are speculating that it might actually do better there opening weekend than it did here opening weekend, which would be fucking insane. I don't think that's going to be the case, for the record. I think that's just insane, but there's a lot of people in China, to be fair. So
there's a lot of people in China.
So we'll see, and maybe we'll check in on that come this time next week, potentially. But that's all I have. I wanted to just briefly get through that so we can talk about the movie that we're talking about this week, which, as I've mentioned, is Tully. It's directed by Jason Reitman, written by Diablo Cody, stars Charlize Theron, Mackenzie Davis, Mark Duplass, and Ron Livingston, and it tells the story of a mother of 3 who hires a night nanny to help with her newborn. So, not much to go off there, but that's kind of the way to go with this movie. It kind of draws you in and fills you in pretty quickly on what's happening with the story of Tully. So, I guess just briefly, I'll kick it off to you. What'd you think about Tully?
Man, it hit me right in the feels. I haven't gone and watched like a dramedy in a long time. So it I don't know. It settled pretty well with me. I liked it. I enjoyed it a whole lot. I thought the comedy landed really well. I thought the characterization and the people felt authentic, and it feels like real world shit. And I don't know, I really connected on pretty much every facet of their family, and it hit me in a big way. I don't know. I can tell you, I was in a theater by myself, so whenever something funny happened, I let loose. It didn't bother me. And then whenever
uproarious laughter.
Yeah, and then whenever something sad happened, well, I kind of just sat there and, I don't know, whenever the feels started happening, I kind of just sat there and cried with myself, man. I was literally watching a movie by myself in a movie theater. I've never done that before, ever. I think it's the first time. But I can say that I think it was a really well-written, very well executed as far as the acting goes. It was a very authentic film, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Highly recommend it. What about you?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I'm actually a big fan of Jason Reitman's early work in his career. In particular, Thank You for Smoking with Aaron Eckhart, and Up in the Air, I think is probably my favorite of his, with George Clooney and Anna Kendrick. So going into this, I was kind of excited to see what he did with this, because he's kind of fallen off the wagon a little bit. I think he did a couple things that I don't know if he wasn't like overly attached to, maybe did them for the money or something like that, but just things that just did not really land all that well. I think he did like Labor Day, and something else, Men, Women, and Children. I'm looking at his resume now. I don't even know what the fuck that is. But it's been a while, I'd say, since he's kind of done something that really kind of struck a chord with me. And so I was hoping that this would be kind of a throwback to that. And I was hoping that he might, kind of be able to replicate previous success that he's had with his collaborations with the writer, Diablo Cody. They've worked together multiple times. Juno is probably the biggest one, I think, that they've worked on together.
Okay.
So he also directed that. So he directed Juno, and she wrote it. And that's, I like Juno a lot. I have issues with Juno, but I think it's a pretty good movie. They collaborated on Jennifer's Body, which he didn't direct, but she wrote, and I think he executive produced on. That had Megan Fox in it. Not anything to write home about. And then Young Adult, he directed, and then she wrote, and it also starred Charlize Theron. So there's obviously kind of a lot of connections, I think, between the creatives behind this. And that probably helps, I think, make probably a good work environment, where everyone kind of knows each other and kind of knows how they all operate and stuff like that.
Right.
I didn't love Young Adult. I think I've only seen it, the one time, like when it came out. I think I saw it in theaters, and I didn't really love it. I think I found the main character pretty unlikable, but it's been a while. So maybe my opinions would have changed on it. But this one, I thought that everyone, maybe because it had been some years since they'd worked together, like everything kind of came together, like, everyone's kind of matured in their own sort of way. I felt like the writing in particular, like especially compared to something like Juno, I felt like Diablo Cody's writing here is just much more refined than it had been. Which, Juno was talking about, I guess, adolescent relationships, premarital sex and, getting pregnant when you're in high school and stuff like that. So it's kind of thematically pretty different, whereas this one's talking about a mother of three who's a little bit later in her life, and,
right.
she's been through some shit, and I think she's pretty tired of it. And it kind of just felt like a more refined experience overall. And I think that probably the biggest point of note for me for this movie in general is that Charlize Theron is fucking amazing. And she completely owned this movie for me. I guess to be fair, she is pretty much, she's kind of the main character, in spite of the movie being called Tully, which is the name of the night nurse. It's about Charlize Theron, her character Marlo, she's the driving force for this movie, and she's just amazing. Obviously, we talked about her commitment in terms of the preparation for this movie of, putting all that weight on. But she just absolutely owns this role. She owns this movie, and I can't say enough nice things about how good she is in this. But that's not to, discredit certainly the supporting cast, who I think is also excellent. Mackenzie Davis, particularly as Tully. She's great. You know, she's kind of got the manic pixie dream girl vibe going on. And I would say that pretty much everything I've seen her in, she's legitimately great in. Blade Runner, of course, is another one that she was in recently. And the San Junipero episode of Black Mirror, she's phenomenal in. So, and
holy fuck, I didn't know that.
You didn't make the connections? Okay.
No, dude, she's awesome.
Yeah, no, she's great. And our Pacific Rim episode, we had Jordan on, my brother Jordan on. We talked about *Halt and Catch Fire*, which she's a lead on. And I haven't watched any of it, but her being involved in that, plus Lee Pace, kind of makes me like, fuck me, maybe I should drop my commitments to all these other shows I'm trying to watch and just binge that right now. I'll do it eventually. I don't know when I'll do it, but I will. But she's great. Ron Livingston is great. He plays Charlize Theron's husband, Marlo's husband in this, and you know, he's pretty great. I think Ron Livingston.
This is the Office Space dude.
He's the Office Space guy. Yeah. That's definitely kind of one of the few.
Yeah,
things
no,
I've
he was
seen
pretty. He was awesome. The kids were awesome. The kids were awesome. And you know, it's. I don't know, man. It's just, like I said, it's been a little while since I've seen a dramedy or a drama in any sort of capacity, and it's something to really write home about when it feels like home, you know?
Yeah.
Just it really does. I don't know. It's just written really well. You know, it's a very believable atmosphere. It's the people are believable. It's real life shit. And it's done authentically, and it's acted very organically, and it's I don't know, man. I was to be honest with you, I got out of work today, and I'm fresh. I went and saw it directly after work, and then I came home and we hopped on the podcast. And I left work today. It was kind of a shit day. Wasn't really, you know, I really wasn't too excited to really do anything, to be honest with you. And I hopped in that movie theater, and I grabbed myself a couple of brewskis, and I went and sat in there, and I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. And it was, I don't know, like I said, it's just authentic. It's heartfelt across the board. So yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I thought everybody was awesome.
Yeah, I completely agree. Authentic is definitely the best word for something like this. And I think that, you know, to kind of talk about what I was trying to get at earlier, you know, I think like something like Juno, you know, a lot of the dialogue in that was very snappy, very witty, but a lot of it, you know, they didn't really feel like real people at times, you know, kind of the way they spoke to each other. This one has a little bit of that kind of retained. I think it's mostly constrained to the Tully character, and that works for that character. But everything else in this feels just 100% authentic, and as far as I can tell, true to life. I say that as someone that is not a mother of three, has no kids, and for at times a lot of this was just like, holy shit, is this a horror movie? Which I think is intentional. There are certain times in this where it's very stressful to watch, you know, her kind of dealing with things, and you know, the lack of help that she gets in doing a lot of these things. And yeah, but it does feel so true to life, and I think that's what makes it really work so much, is even for someone like me that has no tangible experience in this realm, it still strikes a chord. And I think that, you know, is a credit to the talent, you know, both in front of the camera and behind the camera of this movie. You know, I think that this is great work from both Diablo Cody and Jason Reitman, and everyone, you know, all the cast really kind of put their all into it. And I had a good time with it. Yeah, I was very happy with this one. You know, it's not Avengers. It's a very different movie. You know, after having watched that a million times, this one is, you know, it's a bit of a departure, but it's nice to kind of get back into this space. I mean, I didn't see it by myself, to be fair. I had a few people in the theater with me. It was still pretty empty overall. And I don't think it, you know, it's not setting the box office on fire or anything like that, but no, it's a good, well-made movie. And yeah. Do you have anything else do you want to add, or do you want to talk about your recommendation for this?
We can hop into recommendations.
Okay.
I recommend it.
Okay.
Right. I recommend you go, and I don't know. You know, normally I harp on the fact that our recommendations are based on experiences, and I don't necessarily think that this is an experience, but it's a story that's well told, and I recommend you watch it just based on that merit, that it's a story that's worth telling and it's worth experiencing. Yes, you can experience it any medium you like, and I think you'll feel good about it. I think you'll enjoy it. But if the highest metric of our rating system is go see it in theaters, well, then I recommend you go see it in theaters, just because it's a well acted, well told story about believable people, and yeah, that's my recommendation. What about you, man?
Yeah, I was a little hesitant. I was a little hesitant with this one in the sense that, well, it's not your blockbuster type movie. It's not big VFX type thing where you want maximum screen and sound type of experience. I think that this movie, shit, man, you could probably watch this on an airplane and it'd probably work just as well. I'm not saying you should, but I'm saying that it's the type of movie that, doesn't necessarily demand, I guess, the big screen experience. But I think that based on the merits of the movie itself, based on the quality, then I think that it does. I think that it is worth a theater trip, certainly, if you still have your Moviepass. And it's still a company that is operating at this time, when you're ever listening to this podcast, then I think certainly it's well worth using that, to kind of get into it and see it in the theater.
If it's anything to you, I went over my data on my vacation, and I was sitting in the parking lot, and Moviepass wouldn't load, so I went in and paid for the ticket, and I left very happy.
There you go.
Didn't mind that I spent $9 on the ticket for this. It's very much worth it.
I would agree. I mean, I did use my Moviepass, but if I had spent $10 or whatever it would have cost, I would not have been mad. I would have been okay. Yeah, I think that was worth the trip, certainly. So I think I think I would agree with you. Go see it in theaters, purely based on kind of how we have this structured and how I liked the movie and how I responded to it. I think that's a fair assessment. I do think that, I don't know if it'll connect necessarily with everyone per se, but I think the fact that it connected with us kind of speaks volumes about it in some ways. So yeah, that's our recommendation, and you're just gonna have to take our word for it. Would you like to talk some spoilers for this movie?
Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot of them. I mean, I guess there's one big spoiler, but yeah.
Okay, well, full spoilers for Tully. And, of course, that one big spoiler we're going to talk about is the twist at the end. So we find out that Tully, the night nurse, is in fact a figment of Marlowe's imagination, probably a representation of her younger self.
Yeah, it's really touching.
And yeah, I mean, this whole thing, this whole twist here, did you see it coming? How did you respond to it?
I did. I thought it was fairly predictable, but it didn't diminish the quality. It wasn't like a big... It was more of watching her it was almost watching her diminish. You know what I mean? Watching her spiral down this tube of depression, more so than it was, oh my God, it's her younger version of herself. You know what I mean? So for me, it wasn't a huge plot twist. It was just more of her realization of what was happening, and it was her connecting the dots. Because I had already connected them. But like I said, it's a very touching thing that she's experiencing all these things in her life, and she's having this hard time, and she feels empty inside, and this and that, and her younger self carries her through it. And it was, I don't know, it's really, like I said, it was really, it's a touching thing to watch, because the both actresses are just incredible, in their delivery of it. And, yeah, man. And we can talk about everything. I don't want to talk out of turn, but I think they have an autistic child, and it puts a lot of strain on their relationship, and it puts a lot of strain on the family in general. And just watching the child interact with the family, and just watching just the whole environment as a whole. It's so good. It's a very I keep using the word touching. It's a very touching tale of a family, man, of a family unit. And watching them how to cope with everything all the challenges. At one point, I was laughing out loud because things were so shitty for this poor woman. It's like, oh my God, it's what the fuck?
I feel like anytime the kids were in the car with her, we're kind of like, good God, like that is a recipe for disaster right there.
Yeah, she's going through all this shit, and then the school wants to kick her out of the school, and or kick her child out of the school. It's just like, oh man, how much? I mean, how much more can this woman take? And then eventually she gets the night nurse or the night nanny or whatever the fuck, and just watching her.
She doesn't, but yes.
Right. Eventually she snaps, and watching her kind of reconnect where she needs to reconnect most in her life with her kids, with the things around the house, with her husband, and then finally, she tells herself that she's ready to disconnect. Listen, I was only here to cope. You've coped, and you're going to make it through it, and you're going to be okay. And that was it. And then it got her through, and it's, I don't know. It's just, like I said, it was a touching story. So I'm all about it. I thought it was really fucking good, man.
Yeah. I mean, if you had to say it in a word, would you say that it was touching?
Yeah, I'd say it's touching.
I'm just fucking with you. So just kind of my take on the twist. I will admit that I did not piece it all together until it was kind of, when there's like, does your wife have a history of mental illness? I was like, motherfuck. Like, that was kind of like, okay, all right, I get it now. I could tell there was something very off about everything. I could tell something was off, but I kind of wasn't exactly sure what was going on or where they were taking it. There was times where I'm like, okay, she's definitely going to fuck Tully. That's going to be awkward. There was times I was like, okay, is it building to that? What is going on here? Exactly what's happening. Because I think we got a pretty good sense kind of in the beginning when she meets her, quote unquote roommate that she was definitely in some sort of relationship with a woman in her, in the past. I feel like that was pretty obvious. But I didn't quite, I didn't really know how to kind of get a read on some of the things that happened. Because, Tully doesn't interact with anyone except for Marlowe. And I'm like, right. That's very fucking weird.
And I don't know if you picked up on it or not, but just the little intimate details that Tully calls out to her. About the...
Well, certainly the whole roommate situation is kind of probably the biggest red flag, I would say.
Well, yeah, the roommate situation, the something about her feet being touched or whatever. I think they talked about that. They just how quickly they hit it off, and the intimacy that she shares with the child at the same time. Those things seem to tip me off as well. And the similar music, the similar sense of humor. Yeah. Sense of humor was very much the same. And I don't know, just kind of you just kind of got similar vibes. At least I picked up on similar vibes.
No, I did get that. Like I said, I picked up on that. I just didn't quite put it all together. And I think part of it, honestly, was, the way that character was written. I was just kind of like, okay, she's just kind of this tropey kind of character. What's the end game here? Where is this building to? I didn't quite get to that point. I was thinking that it was going to be something to kind of repair the relationship, and it was, in a sense. It was just I didn't quite expect it to go kind of full Fight Club on us towards the end. I didn't quite expect that. But I honestly kind of, it is absolutely one of those things where I guarantee if I watched it again, it would be like, oh, fuck. Yeah,
it's right there.
Every 5 seconds where it's very, very apparent. Because like I said, I could tell something was off, especially the whole sex scene where, Tully dresses up in like the waitress outfit and then goes upstairs. And I'm like, this is kind of,
it's very strange.
Yeah, this whole circumstance. And his reaction is just not like he's like, I've never seen this person in my life before. Who the fuck is this? And the whole of it was just kind of like, there's just something off here. I don't know what it is quite just yet, but I know something's off. And so that's kind of where I was just like, okay, something is afoot. And I guess you put it together before I did. So
yeah,
I don't know.
And like I said, I went into it when we agreed to watch this one. I asked you, is that the one with Charlize Theron? She gets cancer or something. And like preemptively, I already had like and that's not what happens, but I had I thought she had problems.
Okay.
And I don't know where I got that from. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I was connecting with the movie just strictly through the trailer. I don't know. But, like I said, I thought it was fairly predictable. You knew something was happening. You just didn't quite put it together. But she was going through some hard shit, man, and it's almost very Fight Clubby, you're going through a day in, day out routine. You just fucking lose your mind, but yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah, I don't really have much else to add for spoilers. I mean,
that's pretty much all there is. That's
the big one. Honestly, I was thinking before I even recorded this, before I saw the movie, I'm like, I don't really know if we're going to need a spoiler section for this one. And then I watch it, I'm like, we'll probably need a spoiler section for this one. Yeah, we'll probably save that one for spoilers. So, I'm pretty much out of things to talk about.
That's it.
It's a good movie. I mean, yeah, we said you should check it out in theaters, and we're going to stand by that. So we didn't get a chance to talk last week about things we had been up to because we were running pretty long. So it's been a couple of weeks since we talked about what we've been up to, and I imagine that you've been up to a few things. I know I've been up to a few things, but I'll ask you first, kind of anything that you'd like to talk about and shout out and say that you've been doing.
I can say that I have watched. I went on vacation.
You did. Mm-hmm.
I went to the Dillard House, which is in northern Georgia. We went to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and spent a little bit of time there, and then came back. I'm also current on Westworld, which I can highly, highly, highly recommend. Westworld, I think it is incredible. I would say it's probably, right now, I can't necessarily say it's my favorite show on television.
Ooh.
But it's probably the best.
Oh.
As far as, just, what am I looking for? There's a word for it. I'm losing my words. Production values. I think production values are incredible. I mean, it's HBO,
Yeah.
So, I think, and it's well written, it's well produced. It's a very awesome show. I like the material. I'm intrigued by it. I think it's awesome. But Legion, I still have to catch up on Legion. I haven't seen the latest episode of Legion, but that is also an incredible show. I think it's very creative. But the show that I'm kind of most excited to check out every week is The Expanse.
There it is. Okay. All right. Yeah.
You got that space opera. You got that kind of, I don't know. I just think it's really fucking cool. You got some aliens going on. You got some mutations. You got spaceship fighting and intergalactic warfare. And you got got politicians spinning their weave of lies and shit. I think it's really cool. I really like The Expanse. I don't think it's the best thing on TV. Like I said, I think that award goes to, out of those three that I've been watching. I also Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. have kind of fallen by the wayside. I mean, I'm current, but it's not those three there are probably the top three that I think are worth mentioning. The Expanse, Legion, and Westworld. Mm-hmm. And Westworld's definitely by far leaps and bounds. I wouldn't maybe necessarily say leaps and bounds, but it's definitely better than Expanse. But I am eager to watch The Expanse. I feel like there's an unfair bias there just because of the material, the content that's in it. But yeah, Aside from that, I haven't played a lot of God of War this past week because I've been gone, but God of War is also thoroughly incredible. Highly recommend anybody that is capable of playing God of War, pick it up and play it because it is an awesome, awesome, awesome video game. But yeah, what have you been up to, man?
Well, I've got actually quite a few things I wanted to talk about. So there's a few things I actually was going to mention last week, but I took a look at the time that we had been recording for, and I was like, you know what, let's pump the brakes here, maybe. But the first thing that I want to talk about is our friends over at Ink2Film have launched their Patreon page, and they were gracious enough to support us, and so we've returned the favor in kind. So basically, they've got a few different tiers for it, but I think the general, throw a few bucks in on a monthly basis, you get access to a Facebook group, you can vote on some polls and stuff like that, and they're going to be putting out bonus episodes much like we do. So they put out their first bonus episode, which I really enjoyed. It was much more of a conversational episode. They usually are a little bit more focused on kind of the details of a book or a movie, and this one was just kind of Luke and James just having a chat. I know they talked about Avengers and a couple other book to film adaptations that are on the horizon, and I enjoyed that vibe. It's maybe a little bit closer to kind of what we do here, so maybe that's why. But I think it's well worth your time to at least check out their regular podcast, Ink2Film. Just search for them on any podcast platform that you guys use. If you're listening to this, use that. And if you like what you hear, definitely give them some support over on Patreon. So patreon.com/Ink2Film is where you'll find their page to help support them. And yeah, I think it's well worth your time. So look into that. But other than that, things that I've kind of been up to over the past couple weeks, actually, I'll start with movies that I've kind of been doing. Well, sort of movies. It'll kind of, I'll blur the lines at some point. Infinity War, I've seen a fourth time. I saw it in Dolby Cinema this time, which is kind of like the large screen format that Dolby is kind of going big on. It's in an AMC around here, and it's actually a pretty nice theater experience, I will say. It's pretty expensive. It cost me, I think, $16 to see it on like a Saturday night as it was. I wanted to go on a late night showing. It's kind of duplicate like a sold out type experience. It wasn't quite the same as going opening night. People aren't quite as hyped to see it, the second weekend as they were to see it like opening night when everyone's kind of digesting it for the first time. But the actual theater experience itself was really, really great. Sound is really good. Screen size isn't quite as large as like a true IMAX, but I would say that if you had to pick like Dolby Cinema or LIMAX, then Dolby Cinema is absolutely the way to go. It's basically the same price point, but I think you get a better visual and audio experience out of it. So I don't really have anything else to add as far as Infinity War itself is concerned, but I do want to talk about
Was that your first movie seen in Dolby Cinema?
Yes, that actually was my first time using the experiencing that format at all. Like I said, I get cheap IMAX tickets, so I've never really had a reason to kind of do it, but it was a little closer to see it in Dolby, and I kind of wanted, I'd been meaning to check it out for some time, and I figured, Infinity War, I know what I'm getting into. I've had some, I've seen this in IMAX, I've seen this in LIMAX, now let me see it in Dolby Cinema and kind of compare my experiences, so I have a little bit of frame of reference kind of walking in, so that's why I chose to do it that way. So, as far as the big screen formats, I think it's certainly something that if you have available to you, kind of near you, then it's definitely a good option.
If you don't have IMAX,
right? I would still say if you have true IMAX available, for me it's a 35-minute drive or so to see true IMAX. For you, it's longer than that. So it's kind of one of those things where, if you're willing to drive the distance, I think it's worthwhile personally, but some people might not, be so inclined to doing that. I think for us, we're a little bit more cinephiles. We're more, we like to kind of maximize our audio visual experience as much as we possibly can. Even if it costs a few extra bucks, even if it means driving an extra, half hour compared to what it would be. I think we both kind of think, yeah, fuck it, we'll do it. So
yeah.
Movie wise, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I saw Rampage.
Oh, how was it?
It might have been the dumbest movie I've ever seen in my life.
Did they say George a whole lot?
They said George a whole fucking lot, yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was a horrible experience, but good Lord, is it a bad movie? But it hits that that balance of this is so bad that it's good kind of territory, and it is just absolute trash. Like, oh my God, it is so bad. Like, even The Rock just does not give a fuck, and I kind of respected it more for that. Where like even The Rock is just like, I'm just here. Oh, of course the wolf flies. Like he's just here for his paycheck. And I'm like, you know what? I respect that. Fucking Jeffrey Dean Morgan there for his paycheck. He's just doing Negan from Walking Dead in it. There's the two bad guys in it. It's Melon Ackerman, who she was like Silk Spectre. She was the younger Silk Spectre in Watchmen, and she's done a couple other things here and there, mostly comedies, I think. And she has like this brother who's like they're all like they're part of this bad corporation. They're the ones that make the canisters that cause George and the other two animals to become large and start wrecking shit. And they're the most comically over the top poor villains I've seen in such a goddamn long time. That like I'm like, this is so brazen. Like I don't even know what to think about this. This is incredible. This is literally incredible. I movie passed it, and I fell asleep for a little bit, kind of in the middle there. I got bored a little bit, and I was a little tired. But
got bored a little bit.
It was an experience for sure. If we had done an episode on it, we ended up doing an Isle of Dogs episode on it, which was definitely the correct decision.
Right choice.
Yes, very much so. But I can't hate on it too much. Like I said, I had a decent time with it, I will say. But goddamn, it was really, really just a fucking stupid movie. Impressively so, though. So that's Rampage. What else? Okay. So this is what I was talking about of kind of blurring the lines. So over Infinity War weekend, the Sunday of that weekend, so it wasn't last weekend, it was the weekend prior to that. Which, I don't know, it's kind of confusing, I guess. But I went to a concert on that Sunday. It was part of a 3-day festival here in Jacksonville called Welcome to Rockville. And I only ended up doing just the one day of that. I had to work the other 2 days, which wasn't really too much of a loss for me because I wasn't a huge fan of kind of the lineups on the other days. It's kind of stuff that, bands and stuff that I listened to when I was 15, less so when I'm, a little older now. But, which isn't to say that, they obviously have their markets, their audiences. There's nothing against those bands, just not anyone that I would have been like, oh, fuck, I need to see them, like, right now, Whereas the bands that did end up playing on Sunday night when I went, like, those are the bands that I'm like, fuck yes, I need to see these fucking bands absolutely right now. So I saw Wolf Alice. First of all, I only ended up seeing 3 bands. I saw Wolf Alice, who put out a record recently called Visions of a Life, which is fucking incredible. I think they're pretty low-key. I ended up getting there like a half hour early for them, and I was like the second row, standing room. It was all standing room. It's a festival outdoor kind of environment. So it was awesome to be up and close. I saw them a few years ago in Austin with my brother at Austin City Limits, and just an awesome experience. Really cool to see them. But, the big two that I was just like, holy shit, they're playing in Jacksonville were Queens of the Stone Age and Foo Fighters. So I saw both of them. I got a little bit closer for Queens of the Stone Age, and then Foo Fighters, they played kind of basically one after each other on a different stage, so I had to walk to the other stage, and by the time I got over there, like, there's a fucking huge mass of people. Queens of the Stone Age only played for an hour, which was a little disappointing. I think that I saw them actually many years ago here in Jacksonville as well, at the Florida Theater here, and that was probably one of my favorite concerts I've ever been to. And Foo Fighters I actually saw also in Austin a couple years ago as well, and they put on a fucking amazing show. That was when Dave Grohl had broken his leg, so he was playing on the Rock Throne, which was incredible. And they kicked ass here too. Like I was pretty far back. I was way further back than I wanted to be. It was just kind of, how it happened with how they had the kind of stage setups and the lineup set up. But fucking Foo Fighters, man. I like me some Foo Fighters. I actually felt inspired a little bit. So I ended up watching the documentary that I'd had the Blu-ray of for a long time and never really gotten around to watching it. I'd seen the documentary before on, like, I think Fuse, but I hadn't actually watched it since I got the Blu-ray. It's called Foo Fighters Back and Forth, and it basically kind of chronicles the band's history from Dave Grohl and Pat Smear being in Nirvana, kind of all the way up through the most recent, at that time, release of Wasting Light, where they basically just said, fuck it, let's record an album in a garage. And so they literally, recorded the album in a garage on tape in Dave Grohl's garage. And it's cool. It's a cool documentary. It's actually really good. I think Dave Grohl is a fucking awesome dude. So I was a big fan of that. So that's what I've been doing as far as movies. But in television, in the world of television, I've been doing a few things. So I am very sad to report that I have not watched any of Legion or The Expanse. Have not watched any from the newest seasons of those. So I hope to get to those maybe over the next week. We'll see. But I have watched a shit ton of HBO material. So I'm up to date on Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. His most recent episode, the ending of that was fucking spectacular. I don't know if you saw that, but
no. What was it about? Tell me.
Have you watched any of the most recent episodes with him? Of his show?
I don't think I have.
Okay, well, basically, he ended up winning an auction of Russell Crowe's like jockstrap from Cinderella Man as kind of like a joke, and he donated it to the last standing Blockbuster in Anchorage, Alaska, to put it up on display there. And basically, at the end of this episode, in return, Russell Crowe basically tweeted that, in honor of John Oliver spending all this money on his memorabilia, he was honoring him by naming a ward at a zoo in his honor, and it's now called I hope I get this right, the John Oliver Koala Chlamydia Ward, quote unquote. and John Oliver was like, I've only had one goal in my life when I created this show, and that was to get a chlamydia ward named after me. And so he literally like disassembles. He has like his whole crew come out and disassemble the entire set. And he says, "We're done here. The series is over. Goodbye forever," kind of thing. I think he's going to be back. We'll see. But it was still an incredible ending. So I enjoy watching that show. It's definitely worth catching up on.
No, he's hilarious. I like that guy.
Keeping up on his take on current events, certainly. But other HBO material I've watched, before we get to the obvious big one, Barry. I'm up to date on Barry. I've watched the first 7 episodes of that. There's still one more to go before the first season's over, and Barry is fucking incredible. It's goddamn hilarious, and I would strongly recommend it. It's basically a black comedy. And Bill Hader is ridiculously good as Barry. I know we talked about it, I think, on our 2018 episode. He's like a hitman, and like one of his marks is in an acting class, and so he like follows him to this acting class, and they think that he's part of this acting class, and he's like, oh shit, maybe I kind of like this thing. So he's trying to get away from the hitman lifestyle and become an actor in Hollywood, and it's incredible. It's way better than I thought what was even possible with it. Yeah, it's quality television. I think it's seriously good. So I would definitely recommend that. I'm looking forward to seeing how it ends its first season. I think it's been renewed for a second season, so I think that there's more to come with it. But
is it all out, or is it still...
There's one more to come. This upcoming Sunday will be its last episode of the first season. Okay. So once it's all out, then I would say you can definitely binge it in a couple days, and I think you'd have a good time with it. I've also been watching another HBO comedy by the name of Silicon Valley, which is in its 5th season, and I think
that's pretty popular.
Yeah, it's real good. It's a little bit different. They've lost TJ Miller this season, who's kind of a mainstay from the first 4 seasons. He was too busy calling in bomb threats drunkenly and getting arrested for that, so he couldn't make it for this season. Also, I guess he was a bit of a prick on the set for the 4th season, so they basically told him, we don't need you. But it's good. It is pretty good. In spite of kind of losing one of its biggest characters, I think that it's held pretty well. And I have a lot of fun with that show. I have issues with it. They kind of needed like a dummy character, so they've taken one of the main cast and made him more of a dummy character. Like they kind of Flanderized him a little bit, and I'm like, I don't really agree with that, but it's good. It's another one if you're looking for a comedy that you can get through pretty quickly. Half-hour comedy. I think each season I think is like 10 episodes apiece. So this one's only 8, so it's got again one more. And then of course Westworld is the big one. So I've caught up on Westworld. You will be happy to know. I have made it through the first 3 episodes, and I like it. I don't love it. I think I want to like it more, and I think I might like it more as it kind of, builds to, kind of the big, whatever the fuck's going on this season, I guess. It's very Westworld-y in the sense that I'm like, I'm still not sure exactly what the fuck's happening here, but it's pretty cool. I don't know. I mean, it's interesting because like the first season, I loved the first season, and I thought it was interesting just seeing the park and seeing all the characters kind of within the park, and then I guess Westworld spoilers here, just an FYI. Shit's gone sideways now, and it's kind of they have to deal with the fallout of this robot revolution. Dolores kind of heading this revolution, and everyone kind of dealing with that. And I'm like, it's a pretty cool thing, but I feel like it kind of, I don't know. I'm like, I feel like it'd be interesting if it was just Dolores, but it's got so many side plots that it's dealing with that it's like, okay, like we barely get any of like that in like episode 2. But then I liked what they did in episode 2. In episode 2, they did a lot of the flashbacks with like Jimmy Simpson coming back as like the younger version of the Man in Black, kind of dealing with Delos, acquiring the park and kind of developing it, and like, this whole thing of, okay, well, this is the only way we can see that, humans uninhibited, how they really are. Like, this is valuable information that we can collect. I'm like, okay, that's a pretty cool thread. I'm curious to see where that goes. Of course, we haven't gotten there yet, so it's just like, okay, I like that, but there's just a lot of it where I'm just like, God damn, there's just a lot going on in this show. We've again got 2 separate timelines of sorts. With Bernard kind of, he's with Tessa Thompson's character, which I'm glad to see that Tessa Thompson is in this more than she was in the first season. I'm of the opinion that Tessa Thompson should be in everything, personally. So
I agree. Everything would be so much better with Tessa Thompson in it. She's awesome.
But we have that kind of going on, and then we had Bernard kind of like he washes up in the ocean. He's like, I don't know what's going on Bernard. I have glasses that I don't actually look through. Why do we have them on my face? I'm a robot. What's going on here? And I don't know. I mean, I like it a lot, but there's just so much going on. I have to kind of wait and see kind of where it builds to kind of get, I think, a good grasp on how the season's going to shape up. I will say that this most recent episode, the 3rd episode, when they started it in another park, I was just like, oh, fuck, yes, this is what I'm in for.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
They started in, I was like, what's this park going to be called? Is this Safari World? I looked it up. Apparently it's called The Raj, which is interesting.
And then they ended it
with a little Shogun World tease. Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see that. I want to see kind of the other worlds kind of blending with Westworld. So I'm very excited to see that. And it seems like we're finally just now getting to that kind of thing that's happening. So I'm having a good time with it. I'm enjoying it. And it's Westworld. The production values are off the chain. You talked about that. But it's just kind of one of those things where I'm like, all right, I still don't know what's going on. And so it's interesting to watch. It's compelling to watch, but I think it'll be more compelling when you can kind of put the pieces together. And I'm kind of curious to see if I should, like, I think last season I kind of went on Reddit and was like, okay, here's this theory. And some of those, were correct. Some of them weren't. And I'm like, should I do that? Or should I just kind of go in blind, week after week and just kind of see if I can figure it out for myself? I don't know. I feel like I'll be weak. Like I'll probably just go to Reddit because I won't have anything else to do, but we'll see. Last but not least, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You said you're up to date on it?
No, I didn't watch the last episode yet.
Okay, so you're one behind on that.
Yeah.
I feel like I think I talked about it before. I think the first half of the season was stronger than the second half. The thing I like about this second half is it seems like they're trying to tie up some old threads that they had kind of left undone, like in very early seasons of it, with like the gravitonium and stuff like that. Like it seems like they're trying to bring that to a head, which I enjoy. In the sense that they're probably kind of like, this might be it for us. This might be the series finale here in a couple episodes. Let's just bring it all together as much as we can. And so I kind of like that, but I don't know. It's not my favorite iteration of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I would say overall, I think that season 4 was stronger.
Right.
But it's good. I mean, I still watch it week after week. It's one of the few shows. I mean, you saw how I am with the CW stuff. I'm fucking like 10 weeks behind on all that shit. And whereas Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I'm like, I still watch it on a regular basis. So I feel like that kind of, to me, says that, okay, it's got some merit to it. So, yeah, maybe we can talk about that next week, and hopefully I can catch up on Legion and the Expanse, and we can maybe go a little bit more in depth with those next week. We'll see. But that's it for me. That was a lot. Had to get it off my chest, So, I guess we can call it a day there. Thank you guys for listening. Of course, you know that if you enjoyed what you heard, you must spread the word.
Heard it here first.
There it is. All right, we're 2 for 2. Perfect. Patreon, I mentioned at the top of the episode. You can support us on Patreon, watchreviewrepeat.com. Go to our premium tab, or patreon.com/watchreviewrepeat. Right now, you just get early access to our regular episodes, which is, of course, if you want to hear us first before anyone else in the world, that's the way to do it. But our bonus episode is probably the big thing that's going to, be a good selling point for that, and that will be coming shortly, within the next couple of weeks, hopefully, of the Indiana Jones franchise again. So look forward to that. Our website, again, is watchreviewrepeat.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, or like us on Facebook and Twitter, whatever the fuck. It's all the same. And, of course, get in on that poster giveaway that I talked about at the beginning of the episode. Still got a few days, at least as of when we're recording this. So certainly get in on that while you can. If you've got any questions, comments, suggestions, send them over to us at our email, which is watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. Our intro and outro track is Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod and Compotech.com, and that's licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. And next episode, we've got a bit of a conundrum on our hands. We are technically undecided as to what we're going to be covering for our next episode. Again, it's kind of one of those things where, there's not a whole lot in the way of movies coming out that we're really super interested in. No offense to Melissa McCarthy and Life of the Party, but I don't want to talk about that movie. I can't do it. I just cannot do it. I will need to be paid. So WB, if you're listening and you want us to, give us some cheese, maybe we'll change our tune a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, I think we've got a couple options on the table, and I think we're going to dip our toes into both, just kind of see which one strikes our fancy a bit more. And those are The Rain on Netflix and Cobra Kai on YouTube Red. So we're thinking it's going to be one of those two. Maybe if you have any input as to which one you might want to see, you can let us know. That might influence our decision somewhat. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where we're going to leave it. Andrew, what do you have to say? Anything else?
Good night.
And good luck.
And good luck.
And laters on the menche.
Laters on the menche.
All right. You heard it here first. Laters on the menche.
Good night.